I love this line from my best show ever that says, "The world is cruel, but it's incredibly beautiful." And the same character that said this, at the moment where they lost a loved one, said they couldn't go on living bearing that loss. But then she doubled down and said no, she had to go on living, because if she didn't go on living, who would harbor those wonderful memories? It's almost a year now where I went through the biggest shock of my life, and honestly, I am still trying to recover. But in the midst of this, I draw a lot of hope from the kind of life that Christ lived and the treasure that He laid for us. It's so interesting that Romans chapter 8 verse 28 says, "And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to His purpose." And it's mind-boggling to see that world of grief and pain and wonder what good could have come out of it. But it's so comforting to see the kind of life that Jesus Christ lived, how He carried a weight that was so hard, literally and figuratively. He carried the sins of the whole world, and to the eyes it looked tragic and it looked sad and it looked sorrowful, but we are living the good that comes out of it. And reading Romans chapter 14 verse 7 to 9, it says, "For none of us lives to himself, and none of us dies to himself. For if we live to the Lord, and if we die to the Lord. So then, whether we live or whether we die, we are the Lord's." And God has put it so plainly that even death is not enough to separate us, to make us look as if the case was hopeless. For Jesus Christ, death itself was a doorway to Him. And how comforting it is that in the midst of a world of sorrow and pain and loss, we can see that beauty that, of course, the world is so cruel and sometimes senselessly so. But in the midst of it all, it is not senseless. We see the beauty in the resilience of Christ, even through us, that we push through and persevere, even regardless of a crushing pain, regardless of overwhelming discomfort and anxieties that riddles us to see what even is the point of everything. But here we see that even death is a doorway. When we live for Christ, and when we die to His glory, we die to be reunited with Him. And I love what Colossians chapter 3 says. It says, "If then you have been raised with Christ, seek the things that are above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of God. Set your minds on things that are above, not on things that are on earth. For you have died, and your life is hidden with Christ in God. When Christ, who is your life, appears, you will also appear with Him in glory." And what a conclusion it is. What beauty it is to know that even beyond what looks like the end, there is a new beginning waiting for every one of us. So just a reminder to myself and to everyone who has faced all kinds of loss and who will face loss in the future. Death is not the end. It's cruel. Don't let anyone undermine it. It's more painful than you could ever comprehend. But beyond all the pain and beyond all the questions, the memories of that person remains. And as you make those memories your keepsake, just remember that it's not the end, there is more. And as Christ is revealed at the very end, then you will see the revelation of all the pain, that it is not for nothing, that everything is working out for good in the end.